Where do you begin when talking about a property as big as Gundam? It's had countless anime shows and spin-offs, manga, model kits, video games, the works. The latter was a little scarce in the United States, so after building every Gundam wing and 0079 model kit known to man, fans like me were pretty much dying for anything Bandai was willing to give us. One of the first games we saw come here, outside of Gundam's side story 0079 Rise from the Ashes for the Dreamcast, that's a loaded title, was a 2D fighter, Gundam Battle Assault for the PlayStation 1. It was an interesting setup, as it was basically a tweaked version of a different Gundam game in Japan called Gundam the Battlemaster. Fans of the game Gundam Wing Endless Duel for the Super Famicom should actually take note of this, as it was put out by Natsume, the same company. Due to the growing popularity of Gundam Wing in the States, the game was reflected to focus on Wing's main character, Hiro Yui. It provided a bit of an expanded story taking place after Wing's conclusion, I think, and featuring multiple Gundams and mobile suits from other shows that were starting to get licensed out here. It was fun, though there were some slight issues, mainly concerning the lack of modes to play outside of the story and versus modes. Q 2002, with the release of Gundam Battle Assault 2, also for the PS1. This title is widely considered to be the best in the Battle Assault series, but how well does it hold up today? Strap in, and let's take a look. Built with the US and Europe in mind, this sequel to Battle Assault continued to focus on the titles that were gaining popularity in the States: Gundam Wing, the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and G Gundam, which was the most recent show to get a US airing at the time, despite actually being made years before Gundam Wing in Japan. Instead of focusing on just Hiro Yui this time, thank God, no offense, but thank God, multiple characters have their own story modes, now called Street Mode in this game, each with specifics pertaining to the shows and plotlines they came from. More important story segments feature spoken dialogue from the English dub voice cast, adding to the flair.
I'm going to teach you that your mobile suit has its limits when it goes up against the wall. A red mobile suit?
I do believe the main focus of the game is supposed to be G Gundam, however, as Domonkashu's campaign is the only one to feature an FMV cutscene at the end.
Love, and Joker!
The gameplay has been further tweaked since its last outing, with all kinds of updates and changes. One of the biggest was changing the attacks that would take small bits of your health away, and converting that into a separate meter below the health bar now instead. I also noticed a significant upgrade to the original Mobile Suit Gundam, with an oh-so-satisfying special attack to boot.
Gundam Hammer! Well, then glory to the winner.
You may have noticed from the video so far that the graphics are a bit different from your usual 2D fighter. That's because here, each piece of the mobile suit's armor is rendered as single polygons instead of one large character sprite. This allows the game to look surprisingly detailed and fluid in motion. Another great addition to this entry is stages with 3D backgrounds, giving the whole thing even more personality. Movement is slightly slower than games like Street Fighter and King of Fighters, but that was done intentionally to make you feel like you're really piloting a giant mech. This is also the factor that's going to make it or break it for others, as some fighting fans prefer faster and smoother games. Personally, it never really bothered me much, especially after playing a few rounds and getting used to things like I did with the first Battle Assault. But also keep in mind that I was in the target demographic this game was made for, being a fan of multiple Gundam shows by that point, and a fan of flashy 2D fighters as well. Marvel vs. Capcom 2, anyone? Although you can't really tell when you first boot up the game, it's got multiple modes that were not in the previous Battle Assault game. They are Time Attack A, Time Attack B, and Survival Mode. Unfortunately, they are not available from the get-go and have to be unlocked. Time Attack B is particularly difficult to get, requiring you to beat Street Mode with every available character on the hard difficulty. That said, it was great to finally see more modes added, as it was something this series desperately needed. Oh, and did I mention there are over 30 different mobile suits and mobile armors to play as? That is no small lineup for a 2D fighter. Street Mode also has boss fights, similar to the ones in the first Battle Assault, including Big Zom and Noisille. This may give you trouble the first few times you fight them, but you begin to make easy work of them after that. Still, it is impressive that they managed to fit mobile suits so massive into the game this way, especially since they go beyond the length of the screen. I'm going to be blunt here. If you are not a fan of Gundam, or simply have never seen Gundam Wing 0079 or G Gundam before, you're not going to have any idea what is going on in the Street Mode stories. While many best-of moments from the shows are thrown in there, context is pretty much out the window, with no real attempts made to welcome newcomers into this long-running series. Now, if you're already a fan, this obviously isn't going to matter to you, but it's important to note for anyone that hasn't already tattooed the word Gunpla onto their right bicep. Now, the game isn't perfect by any means, don't get me wrong. The number of stages you actually get to fight in are very minimal, despite the large character roster. Most of the Zeta Gundam suits from the first game were removed in this entry, which you can only unlock using a cheat device like GameShark, and the button response time is much slower than games like Gundam Wing Endless Duel ever was. Oh, and some people may not care for the English dub voices, or the hilariously awkward pauses in between sentences.
I love you. I want to be with you. Rain!
With all of that said, and again, this is coming from someone who personally loves the Gundam franchise, especially Universal Century, I really enjoyed this game a lot, and found myself still coming back to it every once in a while. Those who have played anime tie-in games before know that the bad tends to far outweigh the good in most cases, but I found this fighter to be surprisingly deep for its kind. Now, that's not to say it's up there with fighters as complex as any Capcom or SNK games, or Capcom versus SNK for that matter, but I think most people will be pleasantly surprised by the clear amount of work that was put into this, as well as appreciate all the different kinds of mobile suits they'll be able to unlock and play as. For a verdict, I say, wealth and glory to the winner. So what did you all think of this game? Did you get to play it before? Were you there during the Gundam boom like I was? Because I was there. I was there! Let me know your thoughts below in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.